Easy Sports Talk show with Ed Smith and Javon Adams. My name is Javon Adams. You can call me Jay or J Love. That man over there, that is the one and only Ed Easy Smith. He not only played professional baseball, but he also played in the National Football League for that first Super Bowl bound team for the Atlanta Falcons. He's a motivational speaker. He is an author. It's my brother right there. What's good? Hold on one second. Don't speak yet, man. Let me get you off. Go ahead. What is good, my brother?
What's going on, brother Jay? Happy hump day to you, man. We halfway through it. I see some football in our immediate future along with some baseball potentially wrapping up. It's a sad day when you're all excited for something and then all of a sudden it's just taken away from you. But yeah, I've been enjoying the baseball playoffs and you know what's been kind of absent and it was supposed to get more exciting? College football. Doesn't it seem ho-hum this year?
Yes. And here's one thought that I have. The media's fault. Here's why I say this. Because for the longest time, I say the media, I say the overarching umbrella of the media. For the longest time, there was the push for the playoff, want a playoff. So we got four, and then, heck, we listen to Dan Patrick, right? We listen to Colin Cowherd. We listen to all those talking heads, and then you have the other folks in the media that would say, no, four is not good enough. We need to go to eight. We need to make it bigger. Because this is, and they were building it up to say that there are teams that are going to be left out, and we need to be able to make sure that it's as competitive as possible. It's entertainment. Let's make sure that we're putting the best product out there. And so with this 12 team playoff that's starting this year, that combined with the NIL and the transfer portal, that makes teams a little bit more even. And it devalues a little bit of the regular season. I still think that the rivalries and all that are still compelling, but the media is therefore saying, well, what does it matter? Because they might see each other again in the playoffs. So this doesn't matter. This doesn't mean anything. And so I think that those constant reminders that the 12-team playoff is here, so don't worry about it. This doesn't mean as much as it used to. So therefore, I think it just trickles down to the fans. And then, of course, again, with that NIL stuff and the transfer portal, just being able to jump and hop. We talk about this with National Football League or with the NBA. You don't know who's on the team from one season to the next, and you don't get a chance to really become a fan of that player and then build that connection with them.
I think one of the things with professional football, we love the parity. The fact that every year, if there's 14 playoff teams, there's usually about 6 or 7 different ones, right?
Yeah.
And we've been so trained, I guess, over these last couple of decades with just seeing the normal teams in there, in the 4 when they picked. So now all of a sudden it's opened up. So like normally you have small jumps from 4 to 6 to 8 to 12. They just straight up just went from 4 to 12. And to me, and then when you got the conference realignments, I'm so used to, looking at my TV on a Saturday and seeing traditional Big Ten rivalries. Mm-hmm. Now I'm watching USC play Rutgers, USC play Iowa, USC, and it's so kind of like, maybe once we get through the first playoff, it'll reignite everything, and then we'll know what the new norm is. Maybe that's it. We're trying to figure out what the new norm is because this is the first taste of the 12, and it is such a drastic move from 4 to 12.
Here's something else, though. I think there is something there with what you said, but I think more you mentioned parity in the NFL. When we think of college football, we think of the Alabamas, we think of the Georgias, right? So Alabama, they lose, and then all of a sudden, the big storyline is how many more losses before DeBoer's out of there, as opposed to looking at some of the other teams. Because if you look at the rankings, I just pulled them up just now. The rankings are nothing to shake a stick at in terms of the teams that are at the top. So you still have what, 3 just in the top 5, the AP top 25. You have 3 undefeated teams in there. You got Oregon that's 8-0, maybe because Oregon is flashy in terms of who their big backers are, but not flashy in terms of always being number 1 or number 2 or being in the top 5 like that. oftentimes around this time of the season, they end up kind of trailing off a little bit. Georgia is still there, but they lost one. Penn State is 7-0, and I never trust Penn State for whatever reason. I just can't trust Penn State. Ohio State at 6-1, and then University of Miami is at number 5 with 8-0. But it's almost that if you think of it similar to if the Dodgers and the Yankees are in the World Series, which if you'll get what I mean in a second, then man, then nobody's going to watch. No. There are some teams that are quality out there, and we have some Phillies, and we have some of the Houston Astros and all that can step up and fill that space. And I don't think that the new guard is being given an opportunity to kind of step up and do it, because Alabama's probably going to take a step back for a couple of years, or just the leveling of the playing field. And getting to what you said, more parity being back in the mix or being introduced in the mix in college football now, that's going to be something that's going to have to be contended with.
Yeah, so maybe, like I said, we'll wait and see what this first run through the 12 looks like, and maybe get that feeling of what it's going to look like moving forward. And, like I said, figure out what the new norm is. But, but I will say, so far this college football season, normally – like, say if my excitement on an NFL Sunday is at a 12, my 12 out of 10, my college used to be somewhere around 8.5, 9, and right now I'm running at about a 5 click.
Really?
So it really has dipped for me in terms of, I'll go through and look and see what games are on. And like this coming weekend, I have one game that I've kind of recorded. I think it's Penn State, Ohio State, and nothing else got me to the point where I hope I don't miss that one, or if I am going to miss it, I'll record it. I had nothing else, tickle me other than whoever Colorado's playing, and I hope they lose. Other than that, hate. Other than that, I mean, nothing is on the board for me in terms of, I can't wait for that one. I'm going to make sure I'm in front of the TV because I got to see X, Y, Z. It's just, normally I'm just, as excited. But it's been strange, and I'm trying to figure out why. It's like being sick, trying to figure out what you're sick. Is it a cold? Is it the flu? Is it, just a head, thing? Whatever it is, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
I think you definitely burn hotter than me when it comes to the NFL, and of course when it comes to college football. With me, the thing with me this season, and I'm paying attention. I'm kind of on the outside looking in, or as I'm listening and driving around the valley and such on Saturdays. But what, to me, it's the conference realignment, because that is the biggest thing to me. I'm thinking that turned me off more than anything else, because I understand that it's about money, but just the blatant disregard for anything that seems logical is, I mean. Stanford's in the ACC, right? I mean, what the hell is that about?
Yeah.
I don't. And you mentioned Rutgers and USC playing. Just the crazy amounts of mileage that are logged. It just doesn't make any sense. Sense at all. Any sense at all. So he is Ed Smith. I'm Javon Adams. EasySportsTalk.com. We do it 3 days a week: Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Before we get into maybe a little bit of a deeper debate here, the series is 3-1 World Series. The Yankees ended up pulling out Game 4. It was one of those bullpen games. It was a blowout, really. I think, what was it, in the 8th inning is when the Yankees really put it away. But some bats came alive. Judge wasn't terrible. He was okay. Mm-hmm. I know you watched that game. It had a little bit of drama and suspense up until that 8th, and then it was just done. But when you watch that game, was that just a team that's on the ropes saying, we got to get one here at home before it's all done? Or do you think that that might be the spark that ends up making it at least competitive?
It was the dreaded bullpen game, man. I mean, you can't expect to win, in my opinion. You can't have a higher expectation to win when you're going to throw all of and not even your top relievers. It was almost like, well, let's throw these guys and save our big bullets, because more than likely we're going to need them. We got our starter going today, but, and it was almost like not conceding, but hey, if we win this, it'll be really cool. But if we don't, it's no big deal. That's the kind of approach that when you throw that bullpen game. And for me, the Yankees, you had to show up in this one. If you didn't, they'd be clowning you all off season. And we know the urgency was there. I saw this one, something like you saw this one coming from a mile away, the way it played out. And the real drama starts today because for me, if you're Los Angeles, if you're the Dodgers, you want to wrap this thing up as soon as you possibly can. Yeah. You don't want to be going back to L.A. 3-2, where anything can happen. And you definitely don't want to see a Game 7, because that's when anything can happen. So for the Dodgers, a little more urgency today than they probably had yesterday. At the end of that one, it's like, yeah, we kind of figured we'll get one, but now it's, hey, let's go out there and handle our business, so we don't have to come back here and do this again on Friday, that type of thing. So
gotta ask you.
I was going to say, one of the interesting things was that fan interference. I don't know if you saw that yesterday. That was so crazy. And as an athlete, especially as a third baseman, first baseman, I used to go into the stands every now and then. Never anything like that. That was so bizarre to see those two dudes literally trying to rip the ball out of and then rip Mookie's glove off his hand and grabbing him and stuff like that. And the crazy part, Jay, so from what I hear, listen to Dan Patrick this morning, they're going to let those two clowns back in the stadium today because they're season ticket holders. I mean, that's
just giving them the go ahead. That's giving them a stamp.
ESPN sought them out to get a comment from them. This is, if you notice, like normally, and I know you were going to ask something about, I don't want to go too far off on this, but back in the day, years ago, however we say it, when there was a streaker or somebody on the field, they would keep the camera on them and people would run after them and people were cheering. Now when people do that, they break away. They don't even show them because they don't want to give them any type of props or glory because they don't want to incentivize these clowns and fools. They're going to incentivize these two because they've been interviewed and everything like that. And hey, come on back in the stadium today and cheer on your team. To me, there should be some type of penalty. I'm not saying take their season tickets away from them, but no, obviously today's the last game of the season in Yankee Stadium. I'd bar them for the first month next year just to set off, so there's no precedent of this. But they're actually going to let these two clowns back in the game today. Maybe Major League Baseball will step in or the Yankees or somebody will step in, but more than likely not. And I just think as an athlete, we have right to certain things. And we don't have the right to enter, if we go into the stands, I understand that's that's their domain. But when you're trying to rip my equipment off me and rake at me and pull at me and try to interfere in that manner, then that's like taking it to a different level. And I don't see how baseball can, like I said, reward these two after what they did last night. But because that could have really affected the game. Fortunately, it was so obvious, and he had the ball in his hand, immediately called it out. But, you get into a point where something happens,
somebody get their behind kicked, then
yeah, exactly.
And that's almost, it reminds me of, you go out with, you see a parent out with their child. The child is throwing a fit. It's a toddler, let's say, and the child is throwing a fit. And then because they want a toy or they want whatever it is, and the parent says, "Here you go." Oh, that's all I need to do? Oh, for sure. Then I'm about to act a fool. And, another kid sees that and wants to act out, and that parent better put that fire out real quick. But that's the point. So those two fans, they're getting all the attention and all the accolade, or getting all this attention, these 15 minutes of fame. Yeah. And somebody else is saying, "Well, shoot, if they could, I'll do it too." And now you set off the law of unintended consequences.
Very bad precedent, man.
I wanted to ask, because you mentioned that you don't want to go back 3-2. The Dodgers don't want to go back home with the series 3-2. And I think we've touched on this over the years that we've known each other. Do you believe in momentum?
I believe in momentum sometime during a game. Like things can start to roll out in the middle of a game. You see it on the football field, it becomes harder for the away team to hear, and you all of a sudden now the other team just starts running the ball right down your throat. It's like it's a energy shift, and that's what I would call it. more of an energy. I don't believe in momentum from once a game is done today, unless you can carry the points over from today. Meaning, like,
right.
let's say the Yankees won 12-4 last night, so they get to bring 8 of their runs over. Unless you get to do that, there's no such thing as momentum, because we're going back to 0-0 to start today.
Yeah.
And as long as we get out there, like if Freddie Freeman keeps doing what he's doing, and the Yankees they got, like I said, once again last night, before in the blink of an eye, the Dodgers were up 2-0 because of Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
If they continue to do that, I mean, that's their momentum. They'll jump out on top and then cruise from there. Fortunately, we saw this one coming, like I said, because of the bullpen game last night. That was the Dodgers, that was the Yankees' momentum. Those raggedy pitchers they kept throwing out there. That's not going to be the same situation tonight. So, like I said, momentum, unless you get to carry points over and stuff like that, I'm not a big believer in momentum, because the slate is wiped clean come the next day.
Yeah, because I agree with you there. I think it's more a matter of confidence. So the thing that I think about is what Ohtani, they put up a stat with Ohtani over the last, X amount of, there was 20 some at bats that he hadn't had a hit. So it starts to mess with your confidence, right? If you're Freeman, then you are supremely confident right now. And I think that's the key, because you can go from being confident to losing all of your belief in yourself, and then it can go the other way as well. So you get a hit where, let's say you get a CNI double or CNI single, and your confidence was low, but now you realize, I can hit, I can do it, I am worthy. Next thing you know, you're able to start. You're approaching the plate. You're approaching the game a different way with a little more confidence, and that can help you even to overcome some of those situations where the Dodgers jump out to a 2-0 lead as well. So confidence is key. And if you let their confidence get up by being 3-2, then really all bets are off.
Well, as a former professional baseball player, man, I experienced every, shade of the, what do they call it? The spear, basically. Yeah. There were times, bro, when I was so hot, I mean, I could close my eyes and hit. And when you go to the plate, it felt like every time I went to the plate, it was 2-1 in a situation where they had to throw me a fastball. Or if whatever junk they were throwing me, it just seemed like I was on it. And even when I was out in front, kept just enough back to lace one over the third baseman, or you hit that 99 hopper that just went through the infield, just for whatever reason, you were hot as fire. And then on the flip side, I've been there with judges where you can't smell it. Every time you walk to the plate, you felt like it was, damn, it's 0-2 already? And it's like, I mean, I just got up here and it's 0-2 today. Wait a minute, the scoreboard, something wrong with the scoreboard. Because every time I walk up here, it's 0-2, and I'm getting the nastiest stuff, and I can't hit the fastball. I can't stay back on the breaking ball. I'm confused. I'm serious. So, and as you mentioned, it is all about confidence, bruh. It really is. When I was on fire, I mean, man, I don't care what you got. Come on, throw it up here. And those times when I wasn't feeling it, like I said, I was just praying. I'll even take a walk this at bat, whatever it was. So, like I said, in baseball, it's so strange because it is really just a game-to-game feel sometimes. But like I said, we've seen the one thing I will say for the Dodgers, you definitely want to wake up the Yankees. You want to try to get them to sleep, at least stay as quiet as possible. Because, Judge had an okay day yesterday. He saw the ball better, a couple walks. He had a nice single. Looked like he was staying on things better. You don't want him exploding tonight, and all of a sudden, Juan Soto and Giancarlo, they all get to the party at the same time. Yeah. And because, I mean, we all know there's such thing as 3 and 4 game winning streaks in the regular season, and there's nothing saying that they couldn't pull this off. So if you're the Dodgers, you want to try to quiet them as much as possible, sneak this one out of there, and start planning your parade on the flight back home tonight.
Easy Sports Talk Show. He's Ed Smith. I'm Javon Adams. Let's get to it, man. Anthony Richardson benched by the Indianapolis Colts. Joe Flacco, who's in the wings just waiting, he will become the starter, has been named the starter. Richardson completion, and now this is for his career. If I'm looking, I mean, this is just the second year, so that's one of the big things. This is why this is such a big deal. But 44.4% completion percentage? I mean, Ed, I'm just saying, what his most recent game, he was 10 for 32, 10 completions on 32 attempts for 175 yards. He is definitely a work in progress. He's definitely a project. But they knew this when they drafted him, and he's only in his second year. This, of course, makes me think of what Bryce Young that he was benched earlier this year. What are your thoughts on this? Because for me, this is for two things. One, he's been injured a couple times already since he's been in the league. So there's that. So that stunts his growth and his ability to get closer to his ceiling as opposed to being closer to his floor. But this is almost an indictment of me, to me, of those who evaluated him in terms of that timetable to bring him along. There should have been maybe a different way in which to approach it. Let's keep him on the bench for a year so that we can do the things we need to do behind the scenes. We'll bring in a competent bridge quarterback, as the term is often used, and then maybe in his second year or maybe even in his third, that's when we'll be able to see about him starting as opposed to trying to rush him along. Because even when he was coming out, people were mentioning the fact that he was going to be a project.
In my opinion, and I'm going to use the baseball analogy for this one, this is when you see GMs and people of decision-making prowess, this is when you see them trying to hit home runs instead of hitting doubles. Yeah. Just contact. We see every year there's a crop of quarterbacks, and we see, first off, you can look and you see through the film. This guy played, this is his second, third year starting. He's got 30 starts under his belt. Very, has a decent ceiling. He could be a good professional quarterback. Oh, but over here, this dude, he's only had 10 starts. But look, he can throw the ball like 80 yards. And he's not very accurate, but what if we could make him accurate? And he can run a lot too. Wow, he looks strong. If that hits, then that's home run. That's, and they start taking these shots, and it's like, wait a minute, we all were looking at the same thing, right? I mean, some of the way they evaluate some of these players, and all of a sudden we've watched them on film all year long. Then they go to do the underwear Olympics at the combine. They lift a bunch, throw a bunch against air and nothing else. And then all of a sudden that takes precedent over everything we watched them do for 12 games plus a bowl game or national championship or whatever. Guys, I've never seen guys' stock rise and fall like you can't imagine after months of not playing the game. So then all of a sudden we get an Anthony Richardson, and it's like, well, if he can do what it looks like he can do, man. And then they take these shots, and then they wonder when it doesn't work out like him, because it's probably, I would say it's not even a 50-50. When you're going that far against, it's like trying to pull off a 10-leg parlay. It's like, what's wrong with just doing a three, and you're probably more sure to get that W, right? They go for the long shot, which means the odds are even higher of that hitting. And then it's like, wow, we're shocked that didn't work out. I mean, he's not ready. He shouldn't have been thrown right into it. He had the year last year where he got hurt. His growth was stunted. And then you throw him back out there this year. You see a lot more of the same and even worse. And then, bruh, as a quarterback, there's a certain rule that and I know quarterbacks run just like everybody out there on the field, but you got offensive linemen, 320 and 30-pound offensive linemen blocking and running and up the field and, right back into the huddle. And as a quarterback, I know every now and then you might, run a little more than them, but you got wide receivers running, 50 yards up the field, turn around, come back, getting right in the huddle. And as a quarterback, you tap out because you were tired. You were tired and you gave the tap out sign in the red zone. Joe Flacco, come get me.
And if I'm not mistaken, the play that was run when he tapped out was a running
play.
All you have to do is turn around. That's what
Hand the ball
a
off.
good playmaker, a good offensive coordinator will see. My quarterback looks winded. We're going to hand it off. We're going to hand it off.
He could audible to a run play. He could audible to a run play. Yeah. Kill. You know, he could audible to a run play if he was that gas. But to take yourself, and here's the other thing too, bro. There are certain times in life, we all know the best thing you can do is tell a lie. Everybody does. You don't always. I mean, there are white ones, there are little ones that every now and then, I had tweaked. I thought I tweaked my hammy. You know, I had a real bad pain in my side. I thought I might have broke a rib, whatever it was. I just wanted to come over and get checked out real quick. It was nothing. I got right back in there. I was tired, bro. I was just, I was tired. Every now and then, it's okay to tell a little fib. And that's just lack of awareness for me. And, for the other dudes on the team, they're looking at him like, what the hell did he just do? I've never seen that before. And it's hard to gather the locker room after that one, the team. Yeah. And I know the coaching staff, they were just like, we got to get him out of there right now. As bad as he's playing, and then you take this on top of it and tapping out of the game. And then you got Flacco just sitting there like, this dude, Flacco is the epitome of a pro. He gives you a better shot. Here's the thing.
Yeah, he does. He does.
When I pick, every week we do the picks and stuff like that. Hey, is Anthony Richardson playing? Oh yeah, okay. I'm picking. That's going high on my confidence list of Colts are going to get beat. And when I hear Flacco's playing, I'm like, oh no, that takes a whole new level right there. So you got Joe Flacco, the backup veteran, or this dude. The choice is easy for me, and they had to make that move. And the question is, Jay, is this a temporary, or per se Joe comes in and does what he does and gets the team is 4-4 or something like that, gets them back on the road, they get to the playoffs. Now, they might not be as stupid as Cleveland was and not even re-sign Joe. And because, we don't want him here as a threat to Deshaun Watson, how's that working out for them right now? Maybe maybe they see that before we invest a whole bunch into Richardson, we might have to consider drafting another quarterback already. He's working his way out of the plans by his actions on and off the field, meaning tapping out and taking himself off the field.
Is this what we're going to see more of with the GMs pulling the trigger so quick to say a year in, or 2 years, in the beginning of the second year for a quarterback that, we got to go a different way, because they could still go back to him. I mean, maybe this year is lost and he needs to really find himself, or whatever term you want to use, and then start fresh next season? Question mark. His career can't be over, right?
Yes, hey, will we say around here, Jay? Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Here's the thing. You got to remember, bruh, as a head coach, what is your number one primary objective? Is it to develop a quarterback who doesn't seem like he wants to develop, or is it to win football games?
Win football games.
If you don't win football games, what happens to those head coaches that, I was trying to develop him and it just, didn't quite, 3 years in, I got 3 years and that was pretty much about it. So you continue to lose ball games and lose your locker room and keep running behind this young man who's not going to lead you to the proper end results. And you'll Steichen and anybody else out there, you'll see where you end up. So Steichen's looking at it like they're watching the film. They're looking at the film and they're like, that I can't win with that.
And the locker room is knowing, because I'm sure that when the decision was made and it was shared with the team, there were probably a lot of cheers, internal cheers, because they all know that Joe gives them a better chance to win. Yeah. And Joe's very likable too. Joe Flacco, that dude, he's just sitting there. You see him on the bench trying to teach Anthony and talk to him and stuff like that. Everybody knows Joe's the ultimate pro. Also, he's the ultimate, the veteran, man. He knows nothing you can throw at him is going to
make him do some of the things that Anthony Richardson does.
Yeah.
I'm watching some of the picks he throws, and they're head scratching. So right off the bat, you're going to get a better result because Joe is going to lead you in a more positive direction. And ownership. Here's the thing: ownership and management. In a couple years, 2 to 3 years, they would have to make a couple decisions. One, on that 5th-year option. You don't even if he continues to play like this, you don't owe him anything. You owe him pennies on the first part of his rookie deal. You don't owe him anything till year 5. That's if you pick up the 5th-year option. Yeah. If you don't, you release him just like you release anybody else. You are scot-free. You don't owe him anything, no big money. You move on. And that's where he's heading. They would hope that he would start to show signs, mature on the field, start to look better. But if he doesn't, they haven't invested anything in him, and they won't. And they'll be, very happy to move on, like with if they know, hey, we got Joe Flacco here, we can sign Joe for another year, get a bridge quarterback or something like that, and then eventually maybe work a deal where we can draft somebody. They've been looking for a quarterback since Luck. I mean, they went from Peyton to their next guy, Luck. Luck left them in early because they just beat the hell out of him. And it wasn't this regime, it was a different one. But nothing is holding their feet to the fire when it comes to Anthony Richardson. He's actually working his way out of the league. He'll be gone before you know it because they don't owe him any money. And when you look back, who's he going to blame? Nobody but himself. Because I guarantee you, one, he's not taking the game. He should be, if anybody, he should be like turning the lights on in the morning and turning them off at night when it comes to first one in, last one out. Yeah. And he looks, I'm not seeing, if he's studying that hard and doing everything he's supposed to be doing, that'd be even more alarming with the end result so far. Wow. So, yeah.
Man. All right. So again, we do this thing 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll keep an eye on this and, report back, as they say. But before I go, 2 quick things. One, did you know that we have another podcast that we host as well? It's called Believe in the Arizona Cardinals. Believe in the Arizona Cardinals. That's every Monday and Thursday. Monday, we look back on the game that was. Thursdays, we look ahead to the game that's upcoming. So make sure you tell a friend if you are not an Arizona Cardinals fan, and you can find that anywhere you find podcasts. Just search Believe in the Cardinals, BLEAV, in the Arizona Cardinals. And secondly, I am an MC, and I would love for you to check out my new music. The project is called MC Sessions, and it is out now. It's been out for a couple weeks now. Make sure you check it out. I am sure that you'll like it. Wherever you get your music, just go ahead and search MC Sessions. That's MC Sessions. Or you can also go to jlove.bandcamp.com, jlove.bandcamp.com. And as we always like to say around this time, you can